In this lesson, we're going to be animating our droplets. Okay, so let's go ahead and go into our mantra logo image. So that's going to be, let's just come down here a little bit, pull this open. That's going to be right there, so you can just double click that. And our droplets were inside of the mantra blue, so I'll just double click to go in here. Just come down to the bottom, and now we've got all those drops here ready to be animated. So I think for the most part, these droplets can kind of come on just as this is being revealed. But I want to save these till the end, this little section of droplets here, because they are right next to where that particle trail is that we've created that kind of swoops around everything. So I want those to come on right as that particle trail kind of shoots out, just to add some punctuation to that. So we've got our drop 1 there and our drop 2 next to it, and those are the ones that I'm talking about. So I'm going to go ahead and lock those so we don't worry with them right now. And then the rest of our drops, I'm going to grab all of those and we're just going to pull them forward to begin right about here where this animation or this reveal is coming to a close. So I think this was a good one to have next, just kind of right to the right of that left side. And this one, if I'm going to zoom in here so you can see this a little bit better, is perfectly round. So I can just animate this using kind of just a scale up. So what I'll do is hit the S key just to bring up that scale property. And let's just do this over about 10 frames. So I'm just going to hold shift and hit page down to move forward 10 frames. And then we'll do this at a 0. So it's just going to scale up to 100 over 10 frames. And let's add a little bit of recoil to this. I'm just going to pull that that 100 value keyframe forward a few frames. And then I'm going to take this value here up to 105 and just add another key. So it's actually going to get a little bit bigger and then back down to 100. I'm going to turn off that adaptive res there. So you can kind of see how that pops up and then goes back down, just very slightly gets smaller there. And if you want to, you can select all your keys and hit F9 to make those easy eased, and that's just going to help to add to the look of that. Now let's go ahead, have this one pop up, and then just a little bit afterwards we'll have that next drop pop up. So I'll just select those same keyframes. They're both going to be at 100%. Even though this one is smaller, it's based on how large it was when it exited Illustrator to come into After Effects. So we'll select all of these keys, hit Control C to copy, select the lower layer and hit Control V to paste, and just for extra organization, you can pull that over so it begins where that first keyframe is. You can hit the U key and just see how those keyframes coincide with the animation we've created. Now I want to just kind of overlap with this and continue on around. So we've got these droplets up here. Actually might be nice to kind of move up to this one and add that animation there. So I'm just going to hit Control V so that it begins at that point with my current time indicator. Then let's go back to the one that's maybe a little bit farther to the left. So that's going to be drop R1. And we'll just begin that right there. Hit Control V to paste that. Then we'll have the middle one come up after all of them. So just kind of to break up that line, stagger it a little bit, hit Control V there. So I'm just kind of playing with the timing of those, just like that. And then I want the droplet to come on that is that kind of more watery shape. It's not just a round droplet. It's got almost this teardrop shape to it. So we'll have that one come on towards the end here. So I'm going to grab that one. And really, it's basically the same. The only thing I want to change is the placement of the anchor point. So I wanted to, instead of coming out from the middle, I wanted to come down here from the lower left-hand corner where it looks kind of like it originates from. So grab your pan behind anchor point tool and move that anchor point down. And then we'll just hit Control V to give it those same keyframes. And let's move forward just a couple keys. I just hit page down twice, and we'll do the same thing for drop 5. Just kind of zoom in and move that down there like that. Hit Control V, and you can kind of see that those just pop out Not perfectly in unison, just a little bit overlapping really makes that look nice. Okay, so now that we have all of those animated on using our scale, I want to go in and animate these on, but I need to figure out where the stripe of particles really starts to come on, or the streak of particles. So let's go into our mantra logo layers large and see right about here is where we start to see that bit of particles there. So that's about where I want that to come on. So let's go back into the mantra blue. We know that's right about here. So I'll go ahead, we'll unlock drop 1 and 2 and maybe just stagger them slightly. And we'll go ahead and just hit Control V to paste the keyframes at the beginning of each layer. And we need to make sure that for this one, we have our anchor point down here at the bottom. So I'm just going to grab that and drag it down. Okay, so let's just go ahead. I'm going to zoom out a little bit, maybe pull my timeline down. And let's just watch this and see if there are any timing issues that we need to address in this lesson, just while we have a little bit of extra time to fix anything we need to. And then we'll fix that now. And in our next lesson, we're going to just move on to kind of finishing off everything, just making some final adjustments to just some effects that we'll be adding. So this is more just about the timing, the reveal, are those droplets coming on fast enough, those kinds of things. So we'll just let this finish out and take a look at it. Okay, so that RAM preview is finished up and I'm just watching this animate through. Now I think the beginning looks beautiful, the flare looks beautiful. Let's just maybe kind of watch for those drops and see if those come in a reasonable time. The only thing I'm noticing is that this last one comes on a little bit late, this one here, so it's kind of competing with what's going on this side. So I think I'd actually like to pull this back to happen sooner. So let's just go back into Mantra Blue, figure out which one that is. It's probably going to be these top ones since they start over here on the right. Or actually, those look like those are on the far left. So let's come down here. It's going to be these ones. And I'm on frame 50 right now. Just make sure those are the right ones. And we'll just pull those back just a little bit sooner, just like that. So that second one is coming on there. Still looks a little bit late for me. I'm going to pull them back even further. Just with nothing selected. Okay, that looks better. So the timing of that is really up to you. I just didn't want those coming on at the same time as these. I wanted these to really stand apart just because of what we have going on with that flare here. Okay, so everything's looking really good. I'm very happy with the timing. There's a few things that we'll be adding later on, just a few other effects, but they're not really going to affect the way that this animation unfolds. So you've gotten through the hard part. Now everything is just polish, basically, that we're going to be adding at this point. So stick around. In our next lesson, we're going to be perfecting the close of our animation just by adding a few more finishing touches, making this a little bit more readable, adding kind of a sweep across the logo and fading off these particles in the background. Even though they slow down, I think that they could still be a little bit less competitive with what we see here. So the next lesson is just going to be about perfecting this so the mantra logo and the mantra logo type really shine through at the end and really just give us something that is really going to stick with you if you were, going to sell this to a client. This is something you want them to look at and say, that's going to stick in my customer's head. So we're going to be establishing that message, figuring out, what can we take away to really push this forward. So we're going to talk about all of those things in our next lesson.